Welcome to the Earthworks Podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon from many of our turf friends from the past 30 years.
Hello, and welcome to another Earthworks Podcast. I am Chad Kuzawa, your host today, coming to you from Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you have been enjoying the podcast and are here tuning in for more, thank you very much for the support. Please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, where you'll find our weekly 2-minute turf talks, where we take a quick weekly dive into turf-related topics such as water testing, worm castings, humic acids, and much more. If you are new to the podcast, we welcome you and we hope you enjoy this week's episode. Please subscribe. We are available on Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, or wherever you prefer to listen. The plan for the podcast today was to have Kasey Kauff, Director of Agronomy at Trinity Forest Golf Club in Dallas, to talk about building a golf course on an old landfill and hosting a PGA Tour event a year after opening that golf course. However, there ended up being a very dear friend of ours visiting the group at Trinity Forest, Jeff Bradley from Coore and Crenshaw. Jeff was kind enough to join us, and what we ended up with is a very casual group conversation with Kasey, Jeff, myself, and the equipment manager there, Tony Bevelo. We talked a lot about golf and golf courses and some of Jeff's travels with Coore and Crenshaw. I hope you enjoy.
Thanks for having us, Chad. Wouldn't be anywhere else without you, buddy.
And Mr. Bradley, how do you do?
I do well. How are you?
That's good. Very good. Tony?
Good, buddy.
Keeping the boys in line?
Shut up, Dixie.
Oh, and Dixie. Hi, Dixie. That would be the dog. So, all right, let's get started real quick. Kasey, just start with you. Tell us a little bit about you. Where you from? How'd you get into the business? Where you been?
Well, I grew up in North Central West Virginia. I've heard all the jokes. Don't even start. I lived there until midway through high school when I moved to North Carolina. Then ended up going to college in Colorado, but came back and graduated from NC State. Then I've been all over. I was in Eastern North Carolina at Eagle Point, then did grow in Southeastern North Carolina, then went to Atlanta Athletic Club, did the PGA Championship there, left, went to Country Club of Orlando, and then left and came here. So I'm transient. I'm like a transient.
Yeah. So how'd you find your way to Trinity Forest?
I was sitting on the 14th hole at Country Club of Orlando, and my phone rang, and I looked down, and it was a phone number from Dallas, Texas, and I was like, I don't ever answer calls from people that I don't know, but I'll answer it. And it was the president of the club, and he said, I hear you're interested in our superintendent position. And I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then we ended up talking. I flew out here 2 days later and rode the site with him, and was offered the job the following day. So I just packed up and said, let's do this, because I've always wanted to work with Coore Crenshaw and Jeff Bradley. Who doesn't want to work with Jeff Bradley? So
most Coore and Crenshaw guys don't want to work with Jeff Bradley.
Well, that's okay. That's just your opinion.
But in all honesty, I did always want to work with Coore Crenshaw. I loved all their work. You know, once I started playing, I played number 2 when they redid that. I played Stream Song after they did that. I just started looking at it and said, man, I'd really like to go work with those guys. They seem pretty cool. And they seem to fit more what I am, which is not normal. They're different. And everybody that knows me knows that I am not a normal human being. So it sort of fit me with them. That just worked out.
Okay.
Were
you also excited? Were you also excited to get back into construction? You had mentioned some construction work previously, or was the drive a little bit more of getting involved from the bottom floor up with the Coore and Crenshaw group?
It was construction, and they had the tournament here, and it was already done. I already knew the tournament was coming, the AT&T Byron Nelson, which we don't have anymore, which is fine. But at that time, I thought, hey, I want to get back into tournament golf. I want to go do a construction. I want to build a place. I want to do something different, which, I mean, if we want to get into the growing, we can talk about all the different things we've done here. But at that time, I was excited about tournament golf, and I was more motivated for it. And then I think after a few tournaments, I lost that excitement, which is fine because we lost tournament. So I'm actually happier maintaining this place without a tournament and fixing all the the shit show that is. I prefer to give the members an awesome place than
Sure.
continually fixing something that seems always broken. And so I'm much happier now.
Sure. It takes the golf course, for those of you who've done tournaments before, you certainly know it, but it takes the golf course away from your membership or public play, whatever it might be, for quite a while. There's a lot of slinging hammers and a lot of metal work and a lot of screws and zip ties and things of that nature left behind, which I'm sure Tony loves for the reels. Yeah, absolutely. So I can certainly see that. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the golf course itself. For those of you who don't know, I obviously am extremely familiar with the property, so we're going to just try to talk to the other folks here. So unique property, you've got some unique grass choices out there. It's in a unique location. Tell us a little bit about the course and what makes it its own.
So the course our ownership wanted to build a tournament championship golf course in the city of Dallas. Well, we're the 4th largest city in the country. And where do you find land within the city limits of that? So the only land that they could find, well, they looked at buying a couple older golf courses and renovating them, and then nothing sort of fit their eye. So they said, well, jeez, she can't even eat right. Sorry, that was my dog. So anyway, the only land that they could find was this landfill, which was actually an illegal landfill, and we're in South Dallas, which is not the most economically robust area of town. And they found this landfill down here, and they started just putting things together, and ended up, Bill and Ben came out, and I've heard the stories, and Bill said, there's no interesting land, Well, then he started walking, and the way the landfill had sort of collapsed on itself, sort of created these little rumples that Bill liked all over the place and played more like a Scottish golf course. So there was the vision. The vision came, and they said, all right, we're going to do this. So we had to go through 5 years of work with basically what is essentially the Texas EPA. It's TCEQ, creating a manual on how to build a golf course on a landfill, and then how to finance that golf course, because it's not cheap to build a golf course on a landfill. So once that was created, and we started into construction, and that's when we had to essentially take dirt. We called it a borrow pit, but I'm going to tell you this, we're not returning it, so it's not borrowed. We took 750,000 cubic yards of soil from the north side of the property, which is now a lake, basically. It was about 30 acres of an area, and basically just took that soil, dug it up, drove it onto the golf course, and dumped. And then these guys essentially just shaped with piles of dirt. It wasn't, they couldn't cut. You can't cut the dirt.
Well, and that's a great segue to get you involved here, Jeff. I mean, that's an extreme challenge, especially for the bunkers. You're talking about usually hollowing out a space, probably, maybe moving, some earth from point A to point B, and you've created a little something. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you faced with the bunker construction, and maybe where were you before Trinity Forest? What were the differences, and what did you think of building on an old landfill?
Well, I'd never done that. I know that it had been done. I know people in the industry who built on trash before. The only limit was that you couldn't cut into that cap that they basically mitigated the landfill with. It was just against the regulations, and it was probably dangerous as well. You think about methane gas and all that kind of stuff. So the only limiting part of it was how deep you could go. Once you hit that brown cap, you had to stop. So if you wanted a bunker to be deeper, you had to build it up, on the top.
I'm going to interrupt him. It's not a bad thing from our standpoint, because all the bunkers are high here, which means water doesn't run into them.
Certainly.
Yeah, which means we don't have washouts like normal people do.
Yeah, on a normal Coore and Crenshaw golf course, we would put most of the bunkers where the water runs, so that the bunkers would wash out, and the superintendent would have to spend half of his budget on bunker maintenance. We were unable to do that here because of the trash.
So, he's not lying.
It wasn't really that hard to deal with. I know I can maybe think of half a dozen things that I had to sort of not do what I wanted to do because of that. For the most part, it was fun. You know, we had plenty of dirt to build on top of it, and it wasn't a big issue, and it worked out. I mean, this is one of the more interesting golf courses that I think we've done as a team, and you know, some pretty incredible places when you think about, you know, the Sand Hills and Bandon and you know, Stream Song. I mean, those are all incredible golf courses built on sandy sites, you know, with no limitations whatsoever. And I would say Trinity Forest, you know, holds its own against all three of those
Sure.
properties, despite the
Sure.
fact that it sits on junk. You know, it was interesting. I mean, every once in a while you pull a shirt out of the ground. You know, that's
Oh yeah.
that's
I think we found I think we found a hypodermic needle the one time, correct? In a
More
drainage.
than one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Pretty
go
interesting
14
stuff.
teeth.
One of the more interesting days was when the DEA helicopter was sitting on the 16th. Well, it was the 16th hole before they flipped it here, but you know, they were doing a drug bust across the street.
Oh yeah.
And there was a DEA helicopter on the ground while we were working. And so there were a lot of interesting things about it, but it wasn't as difficult as it sounds. You know.
Okay.
I think what impresses me the most about it is if you play any of their courses. I've been to a lot of their courses. Sand Hills, Stream Song's a good example. Dormy Club, any of those places, you can see how they just worked with the land. They just laid the golf course down. And this certainly isn't criticism, but I feel like here they almost had to be even more creative than they usually have to be. Not saying they're not creative. Don't take that the wrong way. But they had to be more creative because we were on a landfill. Like Jeff had to create, like we were talking yesterday when we were drinking Jack Daniels, that like on number 15 at Stream Song, it plays up the hill and there's that huge deep bunker to the left that is so hard to get out of. And I was talking to Jeff. I was like, man, if you hit in that thing, you're dead. And Jeff goes, you know, I didn't build that. That was there. We built the hole around that.
Sure.
And it was just already there. Well, here, they had to design and build those things because those bunkers, like Jeff said, we had to pile up all that dirt and haul that dirt out to create a bunker. So that was all vision. You know what I'm saying? That was
Absolutely.
Just like
No, it was
the bunker to the right of 5 that we have here.
Yeah.
I mean, how drastic that bunker is that couldn't get dug out.
That was just a
Just
pile of dirt.
Sure.
To the left of number 1, how deep that bunker is.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think I appreciate that a lot about this place.
Yeah.
I appreciate how creative, and I'm not saying, like I said, we've been to Sand Hills. That place is amazing. I don't care what anybody says, but you know,
I think most people agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not a hot take.
Yeah, that's not. But I just like that. I like seeing that out here, and I like being a part of that creativity and just watching it happen. I mean, all I did was watch. I didn't really do anything. I got yelled at a few times because I'm not.
It was fun to watch, though.
It was fun to watch. You're not a shaper. You of course say you can shape that.
Yeah. So and back, speaking of Stream Song, you know, was that something common, Jeff, that you found that some of these bunkers just showed themselves? I mean, because that was an old phosphorus mine, right? We were lucky enough to have Rusty Mercer on maybe 6 weeks ago, a month ago. And you know, he detailed a lot of things that I never knew anything about the property, but you know, tell us a little bit about that. What's that?
Did you say anything good about me?
You know, I guess you'll have to tune in, Jeff.
Well, I started in the golf business with Rusty.
Why don't we back up? This is a great story, I believe. So why don't we just go with it?
And I was recovering from being a musician, and I went to work for Rusty at Hot Springs Country Club in Hot Springs, Arkansas, for $5.50 an hour. And he actually tried to talk me out of the job. But I was hell bent on doing something else. And yeah, through that process, I sort of tripped and fell into the Coore Crenshaw blanket. But yeah, you know, when getting back to Stream Song had a lot of interesting things about it because, you know, the property itself, before it was mine, was as flat as the table that we're sitting at, like it is in Central Florida. But through that mining process, you know, they take a bunch of material out, and some of that material, not all of it, but some of it is pumped back to the site, and then it's just pushed away from the slurry pipe, basically, just to get it out of the way by big, huge, you know, D8s, 9s, 10s, whatever they have. And so there was all these rolls and contours, you know, in the middle of Central Florida. There were pure sand, and so there was something there to work with. That, and you had, you know, a lot of water features, which they called deficit ponds, basically. So they had, because you don't pump because everything doesn't come back. You know, you don't put everything back that you took, so you have areas that you can't fill, obviously, and that's what creates the ponds in that area. And so we had to work around those. It was, you know, it was a little dangerous. I remember, you know, Coore Crenshaw is kind of a bunch of cowboys, so we don't worry too much about safety and all this stuff. Working on a mining site, you know, and it was still under a mining, not sure what the word is, but
It was zoned for mining.
It was zoned for mining, yeah. And so it falls under this government thing, not OSHA, but MSHA, which is a lot more restricted. And so anytime we were working around that water, you know, we had to have a permit from the mining company. We had to wear life jackets. We had to have a spotter. You know, we had to go through all this stuff. So, you know, there were a few holes where I built bunkers on the edges of those ponds, and there was basically a team involved in that.
Really?
Just in case the ground gave way, and the machine and I wound up in the water. And in this safety meeting we went to, you know, to stress the importance of this, they showed us pictures of dozer tracks going toward water and then just ending. And basically what had happened is that, you know, a guy was pushing out these sand tailings with one of those big dozers toward water, and the ground gave way, and in a matter of 5 seconds he was 40 feet underwater. You know,
oh smokes.
Yeah, I mean, it was that kind of crazy. You just never knew. Luckily, we didn't have any of those issues. Nothing happened, but it was something we had to watch out for. And you know, there were a lot of things, and we, you know, Stream Song was done. Our team, the Coore Crenshaw team, the Doak team, we all did it at the same time. You know, Bill and Tom routed those golf holes together, and you know, I believe that Bill was, you know, being the elder statesman, was given the choice of which piece of property he wanted, and he asked one of our shapers, Jimbo, you know, which piece of property Jimbo liked, and he said, "I want the one with the most work." So we took the one that Bill probably didn't prefer. I think Bill routing.
Bill has told me, and I don't want to be mean and quote him, but he has said, "We get Tom the easier piece of property. We just want to show him up." In jest, he said that.
In jest, yeah.
Bill and Tom are good friends, so any ribbing, you know, it's meant well. But we did take the property that probably had less character, you know, and so I think that shows. I think if you go out there, you spend a few days, and you play both of the golf courses, you probably see that the ground on the blue course, which is Tom's, is probably better suited to that style of architecture than the red one was. And so it's a little more bold and a little wilder than ours is. That's fine. You know, we're a little more, we're older and more seasoned, and we had fewer people.
Sure.
Working
Well, I mean,
that
they've got great variety in that case. I mean, for a resort, you know, you don't want them all to be identical. And I hear good things about the black course as well.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I rode around on the black course when it was growing in with one of the assistants one day. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but it looked really interesting. And I know that, you know, we stole a bunch of sand from that piece of property, and I guess they had to haul a bunch in, you know, for Gil to actually do that. But he did. Gil's property wasn't nearly as interesting as the stuff that we had on the red and blue courses. So he really had to work at that, you know. And from what I understand, he did a great job.
Okay. It came up while you were talking, so I gotta ask: do you have a favorite, Jeff, that you've done, you know, that you've been a part of with Coore and Crenshaw? Do you have a favorite?
Careful, your job's on the line.
Yeah, no. I was asked this question on a podcast earlier in the year, and I told my answer was the Warren course,
Notre Dame.
At the University of Notre Dame.
And it's funny you say that, because I remember texting you during the Senior Open and saying, "Hey, did you do these bunkers? I love them." And you said they're probably my favorite set of bunkers I've done. So I kind of remember you saying that.
That's probably still the case. It's kind of like, you know, being a musician, a lot of it kind of, it all kind of comes around to that sort of stuff for me. So, you know, you think about your favorite bands in history, their best work was probably earlier in their career. You know, the Beatles probably didn't get better with age. You know? Neither did Led Zeppelin. You know,
what's your favorite Coore Crenshaw course that we've played?
Sandals. Sandals is amazing. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that at all. Although I put Bandon second. That place is so good.
Bandon Trails.
Yeah, that was so good.
I would say
Cat loves Bandon Trails.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell why, but he loves the first tee of Bandon Trails.
Okay.
I think I got a picture. I might have a video.
Did you were you part of that project, Jeff?
which one?
Bandon Trails?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was not so much the Sandhills. So the Sandhills was basically built in '92 and '93 in the summer. Those summers, and I met Bill in the summer of '94. So I went to the Sandhills in the spring of '95 with Dave Axland to help him do some kart trails and to finish a couple of bunkers. And this was basically an opportunity to see if I could do this kind of stuff. You know, I did a few things while Dave was out of town at Hot Springs Country Club. I didn't know how to run anything, you know, machines or any of that kind of stuff. I just did some stuff and they kind of liked it. And so they sent me to the Sandhills where I got a $2 an hour raise. I was really in the money at this point. And it kind of worked out, you know, at the end of those, I think it was maybe 2 months and 4 blizzards. Bill said, "I don't have anything this year, but I think we've got something maybe we could use you on next year," which turned out to be Cuskawilla in Georgia. And,
okay.
That was
Rusty was there as well, right? Yeah.
Rusty and I drove to Cuskawilla together. I picked him up at 5:30 in the morning, and we made that trek to that job together. Rusty and I have been together for a long time.
Okay.
I'm sure he wishes that wasn't the case. He's stuck with me until the day one of us dies.
Okay. Which we hope is a long time from now. Eh?
I hope so.
Yeah. So Tony, what's your favorite? You gonna take the easy road? You gonna go with Sandhills also?
I don't know, man. I love Sandhills. I thought that was. I've been fortunate, like all of us on this podcast, to play a lot of really, really, really nice golf courses. We've been very blessed to be able to do so. I love Sandhills. I thought that was one of the best golf experiences I've ever had. But I think one of the most fun rounds of golf I had is when we played Sheep Ranch.
Yeah,
There was
that was
something
really
about,
cool.
I thought Trails was great too. I loved all of Bandon. But man, there was something about Sheep Ranch, and we played it when it was blowing 60.
At least.
It was blowing 60
yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was you know, it really tested your creativity on a golf course. And when it doesn't blow 60 on Sheep, I think that's the minority of the days. I think it's, you know, just the way that place is, it's going to blow like that. And you really have to think and be creative out there with the way you play the golf.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people haven't seen it. There's no bunkers on that golf course because of the wind. So Jeff didn't go over there. There's no sand bunkers. I guess there's grass depressions, but
I mean,
they
I was going to say they appear like a bunker. They're just turfed over. But I mean, to your point there, Tony, I'll never forget. I forget what hole it was towards the end of par 3, 104 yards or so. Caddy hands me my 6 iron. I look at him and he says, "Trust me." And I didn't get it there. And then we saw that Instagram video of the girl putting. I mean,
they had 16, I believe it is.
It was pretty cool.
And up until that point in my life, golf career, whatever you want to say, I was able to play Kiowa Island in college. We played a tournament at Kiowa Island, and it blew 45, 50 the whole day. And I never thought that I would be a part of a round of golf that was as testing as that, which Kiowa obviously is ridiculously hard. But Sheep Ranch, it was I don't know, it's hard to explain. Obviously we had great company. We had a lot of fun. But man, Sheep Ranch, just the views out there, we had a perfect day for it.
It was really awesome. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it didn't help that we played Old McDonald in the morning.
Yeah, I was going to say,
didn't hurt that we were also coming off of that you know, we were tired, but we were also very, very thrilled to be there.
No, exactly. I mean, there was a lot of Crown and Coke consumed, which is okay. That's, I think, what got us over the hump, you know. But yeah, I just being on Sheep's property and looking around and just kind of taking the golf course in for what it is, it was something I'll never forget. And I think that was one of my favorites for sure.
For sure. So Tony, a little background on you. You mentioned playing in a college tournament at Kiowa. I will roll it out for you. Tony was an assistant golf pro before going into this side of things. So what brought you to that, and what brought you to being an equipment manager?
I got sick of folding sweaters.
Okay,
you did a good
job. Fired.
You know, I got sick of Mrs. Smith calling the golf shop while it's raining outside, asking me if it's going to rain, when it's raining, and if it's going to stop raining. No, in all seriousness, I grew up in Plainfield, Illinois, a small town outside of Chicago, southwest suburbs. I have golfed my whole life. I've had a golf club in my hand since I was 3. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do outside of high school. And I began working at a golf course, 27-hole facility called the Links of Carillon out in Romeoville, Illinois. And I worked for free. I worked on the maintenance staff, filling divots, doing whatever in the morning for free golf, basically. So we worked 3 days a week. We got unlimited golf for the week. And that really sparked my interest to want to make golf a career. I was not the best at school, still am not the best academically, if you will.
Smartest person I know.
What was that?
The smartest person I know.
Well,
it's true.
With grinding reels. Yeah, you doesn't know a lot of people. Just
that's not saying much. I mean, I've been to Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's not saying much, you know.
Sure.
So I ended up finding a trade school in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, where I went and got a PGM associate's degree, which is a business degree geared towards country club management.
And shirt folding.
In shirt folding, yes, I can fold a mean shirt. I got into my first assistant golf professional job at Berkeley Hall Club, which is in Bluffton, one of the nicer clubs out there. Obviously, and funny, me and Chad worked at Colleton River. I worked at Berkeley Hall, which is literally a stone's
2 miles. I mean, a mile, 2 miles, maybe.
That's right. and we never met each other. And we, as a professional staff, would always go to Outback Steakhouse in Bluffton, where Chad's wife would overserve us many times. And I would hit on Taryn all the time, and Chad never knew it, and he probably doesn't until this day. So
it's a great time to talk about it.
Yeah, I think she married the wrong guy, but hey, I mean, who am I to tell?
You're a solid backup. You're a solid backup. What can I say?
No. In all seriousness, so I got burnt out doing the whole assistant golf pro thing. So I went to our superintendent at Berkeley Hall at the time, and his name is Danny Malone. He's now retired, and said, "Hey, Danny, I want to stay in golf, but I can't do that anymore." And I said, "Do you have an opening to get me? And I'll do the Penn State online thing, whatever I got to do to get a turf degree, but I want to become a superintendent." And he said, "You're mechanically inclined, I believe, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You know golf, you know it well, you're a player, you understand the condition that the golf course needs to be in at this level. You need to get in touch with this gentleman named Skip Hines at Belfair Plantation and see if he can get you in the shop and train you and teach you the ropes so you can go and become an equipment manager at a high-end club somewhere. This art is," and I see it now that I'm in the industry, this art is dying. There's really no formal education to teach what I do for a living. A lot of it is the stories, how I got in it. They got underneath a guy, they learned, and they get into, luckily, a good job, hopefully. So I was there for 2 years, and then James Morgan, who is our golf course superintendent now here at Trinity Forest, was an intern at Belfair Plantation while I was a assistant equipment technician.
Full circle, James worked for me in Orlando because his parents were members, and I said, "You need to go do internships." So I sent him to work for Ken up at AAC, and he said he wanted to work in Hilton Head, so I got him hooked up with the other Ken.
Yep. And me and James, I worked under Ken Lee, who is now at Cherokee, back at Cherokee.
Plantation?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that place.
No. Cherokee in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cherokee
Plantation.
You're talking Cherokee Plantation in Yamasee, South Carolina.
Oh, we're talking that Cherokee.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, not Cherokee Plantation, Cherokee
Town and Country Club.
Sorry.
Yeah. Both great.
Yes.
No insult to either one. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, anything called town.
I saw Jeff's eyes light up, and I was like, I think he's talking Yamasee.
Yeah.
Wrong Cherokee.
So I'm a huge fisherman. I have family that have been in Dallas and friends, and this is one of the best bass fishing states, whatever, in the country. So I took a trip here with my dad to see his friend, and we fished Lake Fork. And I said, I want to move to Dallas. That's where I want to go. Kasey had posted the job. Somebody accepted. Didn't work out. Whatever. He was about to post it again. And on a whim, I don't know if I called James or if he called me, but we're shooting the shit, just catching up. And he says, "Hey, you have any interest moving to Dallas?" I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, "You have any interest in moving to Dallas, Texas for a job?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm looking at Dallas jobs right now. I'm trying to get out there." And we both flip shit. We're talking back and forth. And that's when I learned about Trinity Forest. And, I talked with my director at the time, Ken Lee, and Ken and Kasey have a relationship. And he said, that would be a great fit for you. And I knew I wanted to get into new construction. But at the time, I'm only 24 years old. So I'm stepping into a brand new Coore Crenshaw design golf course, hosting an annual PGA Tour event at a very high-end club. And there's nothing's established here. I have to design the shop with Kasey. We got to do the equipment packages.
He's lying. The tent wasn't here yet. He's not.
There was no circus
We had no
tent.
tent.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to do all my own staffing. So I took a leap, and me and Kasey had a phone interview, maybe 3 of them.
I'm going to go ahead and say this real quick. If you're an equipment manager or an aspiring equipment manager, I'm sitting here reading these resumes all day. Look, you can proofread, just proofread the thing. Tony sent me a bound portfolio of things that he fabricated and stuff. Literally, I didn't have to talk to him. I was like, yep, this is what I need. I need somebody that like is, and all that does is show me that you're willing to go above and beyond. Because look, equipment managers aren't just some guy that grinds a reel anymore. Like there's computer skills, there's budget tracking. Like
No, absolutely.
like this is like a professional job.
And I think there's a real need for the good ones. There's a lot of good ones out there, but I think there's a lot of truth in being an equipment manager and not a mechanic. Yeah, you have a mechanical background, but there's so much more that has to get into. And not to interrupt you guys, Jeff, I know you have to catch a flight. So I thought maybe we could say goodbye to you and I could ask you a couple more questions. Maybe just tell us what you're working on right now.
How much money
what you're looking
before taxes?
What you're working on now, what you're looking forward to.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was gonna make a joke, but it's probably
what was 2020 like? What's 2021 gonna bring you?
Oh goodness, 2020. 2020 started in St. Lucia, and I came home for a break in early March, and never went back. For obvious reasons. I got really lucky and wound up getting a job with a young architecture firm called King Collins and working in Nebraska, which was a lot of fun. I had a great time working with those guys and a great client there. It was a little different sort of environment than I'm used to, but I've worked outside of the Coore and Crenshaw. I call it the bubble, because inside that bubble we're kind of in charge and we do our own thing, and there's a lot of respect and admiration and all that kind of stuff. And when you get outside that bubble, you're just a shaper, you're just another one of the guys. And I obviously had to learn that the hard way. A couple of contractor shapers put me in my place over the years, and so I've learned to work in those environments a little bit better, and just understand that I'm just part of the team. It's not that there's anything special about me. I need to produce a good product for whoever I'm working for, and so this one was really easy. Rob and Tad were great to work for, and the guys on the job were really easy to get along with, and I made some great new friends along the way. I was really fortunate.
They were the architects of Sweetens Cove, if anybody's heard.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, and I think they're piquing a lot of people's interest. And what's the name of the golf course? Is it Landman? Is that what it is?
Landman, yeah.
Yeah. Is that what that sweatshirt is?
It is. Yeah.
That's pretty. I see the L. I see the corn cob.
Yeah, there's a lot of corn up there, man.
Yeah, I'm sure.
A lot of corn and soybeans. We got to watch them harvest all that stuff. It was really neat watching those big farm machines,
big combines,
do their work around what we were doing. It was because the whole place is just surrounded by corn and soybean fields. And but I was lucky, man. It's been a really crappy year for so many people, and I have to be grateful for it.
So what's coming up?
Well, I'm gonna go make another run at St. Lucia in January again, and I'll be there probably until late spring when we go to Alabama.
I don't know if that's been press released yet.
Well,
hot
I'm
take,
going to
Alabama. Lake Martin area, correct?
I'm gonna hook up the camper and I'm gonna come through Dallas and grab Tony.
We're going bass fishing,
we're gonna
baby.
take the new Ranger and the new camper, and we're going to Alabama to fish.
I think there's going to be a press release on that on Monday. I really do. I think they're going to do a press release on Monday. So just post this after Monday.
This will not go out before then. But you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
I don't know. They don't tell me about press releases.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Monday. I don't know how I know that. Just don't ask questions. But Jeff's done some awesome courses that aren't Coore Crenshaw. Like he did my good friend Michael Dukowski up at Shelter Harbor in Rhode Island. He did those bunkers for
you did those at Shelter Harbor.
Yeah, for Fry, Hertz and Fry. So
did you do some other work up northeast? Anything up there, East Hampton?
Oh yeah, I mean.
Okay.
East End,
Friar's Head.
Friar's Head, Maidstone, did a renovation at Maidstone about 10 years ago. That was a lot of fun. And we also worked in New Rochelle. I can't remember the name of that place right off the top of my head, but did a renovation project there. Worked south of Boston, a place called Old Sandwich.
Oh yeah, sure.
He did a famous course in South Florida. We won't mention their name. I don't know if that's allowed to be mentioned on the air.
Oh yeah.
Super famous place, South Florida. They may have played a match at it this year.
Yeah.
On TV.
They may be playing one next year.
Maybe.
On TV.
Maybe like a thing called the Stevens Cup is there next year. I don't know.
Oh, nothing going on here.
Yeah, nothing there. That's been press released. That's out there. Because it's coming to Trinity Forest in 23.
Okay, very cool.
Top 8 college teams. It's pretty neat. So Jack Stevens, like Augusta National Jack Stevens, they're doing a tournament, I believe, in his honor. I think his son's Warren Stevens. I'm right there. And he's doing an honorary tournament for his dad, who was the chairman at Augusta National for a long time. And the top 8 men's, I think, and women's golf teams in college golf are going to play in this tournament. Just the top 8 teams. It's going to be really neat. Kind of like the East Lake tournament, Golf Channel, all the things. That's going to be
cool.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, Jeff. Last question for you, I guess. Not that I'm kicking you out, but I know you got a little time crunch. If you had one little piece of advice to aspiring shapers or architects, or even an assistant superintendent looking to get into the construction side of things, what have your experiences taught you that you maybe would pass along?
Find a job, take the job. Apparently the dog didn't like the idea of work.
No, I apologize for my dog there. I think I missed the point. What was it you said?
I said find a job, take the job, and do the job. It's all about hard work.
Hello, Ms. Lady.
Hello, Ms. Lady.
Oh God, now the group's getting big. James is here.
Everybody knows
that's pretty sound
everybody
advice.
knows we have 60 assistants here, Jeff.
Sure. But you just get in the door and do your work is kind of what you're getting at, Jeff.
It's all about hard work, and being flexible and understanding that you don't know everything. I run across a lot of young people.
I apologize.
Come on.
Do you want to pause and then we'll just sit here?
Sandwich, Trav.
Nope.
You sure?
Is he gonna
My wife. Nope. I apologize. Sorry to everybody for that. I have a guard dog scenario around.
Dad's resume will be posted on the bottom of this podcast if anybody wants to hire him now that his dog ruined the entire podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, Kasey. All right. Well, how about same question for you, Kasey? What bit of advice would you give Assistant Superintendent Kasey? Jeff, thank you so much.
I gotta
We're gonna.
They can hug. I'll talk.
What would you give advice to yourself as a youngster joining in?
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate it.
Well, I do a talk at NC State every year for the kids.
See you, Jeff.
Kids.
Oh, you missed the kiss.
Jeff Lewis Kiss. I do a talk for the kids at NC State
Jeff.
on an annual basis, and I tell them a lot of things, whether they listen or not. But I think the most important thing if you're young is figure out what kind of golf you want to be in. Like do you want to be at a high-end private place? Do you want to be at a municipal place? There's nothing wrong with any of it. You could go be a municipal superintendent, get killer benefits and everything else. That's your goal. Set your goal and work towards it. But I'll tell you this right now. If you want to be at the top, like at a high-end private club, it's very difficult to start at the bottom. You need to go start at the top and stay there. Go do your internships at the top. Go meet people like Mr. Kasey that'll call people and try to get you jobs.
Like Jeff Bradley.
And Jeff Bradley, you just network and get to know these people to where they hug you and say Merry Christmas. You know, that's important. If you don't think that's important, you're never going to make it. You're really not. But there's guys that everybody knows in the Northeast. There's guys everybody knows in your area. There's guys everybody knows that put out quality people. Go work for one of those guys. They're mentors. Like, you don't want to go work for somebody that literally, if you went and interviewed, let's say you're an assistant at Joe Country Club down the street, and you were like, I want to better myself and go interview at Trinity Forest. You don't want to work for somebody that's going to get mad at you for that. Like, you know me, Chad. If anybody comes to me and says, Kasey, I've really been looking at this job, I'd be like, all right, great. I'll try to find some members. I'll try to find this. I'll start making phone calls. I hire people because I want them to leave. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Want them to leave. I don't want Tony to leave. But like James, Bill, all my other guys under me, I want them to leave. I don't want them to stay here. Because I want Trinity. It makes Trinity Forest look better. It makes me look the same. I have a face for podcast, Chad.
Me too.
but I think it's important to know where you want to be and make that decision. If you wanted to be at a municipal golf course, we're going to start working at the municipal golf course. You know, that's going to help you. You're going to understand the way it's operated. You're going to understand the city politics. If you want to go work at a place and you want lower stress and you're like, hey, I just want to go work at this semi-private club, well, start there. Don't start on a level you don't want to be at. I just don't understand that, because then it just leads to unhappiness. Like if I didn't want to have a high stress job, why would I come work at a place that's high stress? You know, like I'm all about, you know how I am. I'm all about having fun outside of work and not thinking about work. So I found a place currently that is perfect for me. This place is perfect for me. Whereas a place that has 40 people in a greens committee and 10 people on a board, that's not really where I want to be. So I've made that choice. And even if let's say that country club called me and offered me $100,000 more than I make, I don't think I would take it. It's about happiness at this point in my life more than it is. And so I made the decision where I want to be. And I think that's the key. Figure out where you want to be and work towards that. Don't figure out where you want to be and start somewhere else and try to work towards it. Start where you want to be. Is that good?
Sure.
Is that good?
No, I think that's good advice. Absolutely. And I think that maybe that's not stressed enough in some schools.
It's definitely not.
And I say that because, you know, I'm still in the industry, you know, in a different role. But I have classmates that are not in the industry at all anymore.
Oh,
and I
graduated with 40 people, Chad. There's only 3 of us in golf.
And I'm very pleased. The internships that were pressed upon me during schooling, TPC Wakefield, and then with you at Atlanta Athletic Club, you know, good internships, high-end golf courses. It is what I wanted, but it wasn't as if it was presented that there were a lot of other options for internships. You know, I didn't ever have this. You know, now that you know, you don't get that middle of the road that's really going after people. And those are great jobs. It's not everybody is going to work. It's not everybody's going to work at Augusta and Seminole and Trinity Forest, or, you know, many of these golf courses we talked about today. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like you said, it's finding that balance and finding the right people. So I think that's really good. And if we do have some assistants listening, I think that's extremely sound advice. If you find what realm you want to be in, it doesn't mean you can't change your mind. But it's certainly the avenue that's gonna set you up to know what to expect as you further your career.
So you know this, but when we interview interns, which is always on the phone, or potential intern candidates, I ask every one of them, where do you want to be when you get older in the industry? Do you want to be in the Northeast? Do you want to be in the Midwest? Do you want to be in the South? Because you need to put yourself there. Why would you, you know, why would I go work at Oakmont for an internship if I want to stay in the South? I mean, I could learn some like quality stuff, and I'm not saying they don't teach anything, but
and you're going to work for some good people, but I understand. Sure.
Build my network in the South where I want to be. And actually, I've had, I don't know how many people that have said, you know what, thank you. Nobody's ever told me that. Nobody. And I think we offered internships to 2 or 3 people this year that said, you know, I rethought this and I want to be in the Pacific Northwest, or I want to be in the Northeast. And they turned us down, but we were happy they turned us down because we want you, we want we want you to become an assistant superintendent on what you know. And if you're down here working for us on Zoysia grass and you're down here working for us on Bermuda grass, there's no bent grass out here. What am I going to teach you? I can't teach you anything about bent grass. What am I going to say? You got a handler, it's hot in the summer. It's you go learn what you want to be on. Like, that just makes sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe, but I've been called wrong.
No.
So.
I think it makes sense. And I think it's important to have mentors around. And I think it's important that a lot of people entering the industry understand that, not that it's an easy road, it's a tough industry, but there's a lot of folks looking for quality, experienced assistant superintendents.
Just go to turf net, look at the assistant superintendent.
You can set yourself up to be patient and take the job that feels right. In fact, I had really good advice from probably one of your great mentors, Kasey, Ken Mangum. He told me, I interviewed with him and Matt Taylor and Tyler Anderson after my internship for an assistant position. And he kind of told me after I said it just didn't feel right. He said that's a great decision you were able to make, and understand that you should take that with you. It doesn't matter if, Atlanta Athletic Club, it was like, heck yeah, I want to go back there. I like these guys. I like the place. It's awesome. It just didn't quite feel right. And I think Ken was really nice to support me in that and say, hey, it takes some guts to do that, but it's okay to turn a job down. If anything is awesome.
Tell me that all the time, Kasey. It's okay to say no to a job if they don't.
Sure.
If you don't want, you don't feel it. And I think, obviously Ken's one of the legendary names in this business. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think I took away any turf grass knowledge that I didn't already know from Atlanta Athletic Club. But I took away all of the most important knowledge in this business.
Absolutely.
I learned the humanity side, if you will, like how to be a human in this business and
Absolutely.
what that takes and how to form relationships. And I think because they teach you in school turf grass management, but to learn how to be a good human in this industry and how to treat people and how to make a work environment a family environment it's not a locker room, it's a family environment that we treat everybody with respect and use locker room talk sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Like,
sure. Yeah.
And that's, to me, was the most important lesson that I learned from Ken, and I'll never forget that.
So I would, shout out to you and shout out to Brian Powell for the same sort of thing as far as what took me in my career a certain way. I was taught the value that, you may have needed that degree to get the job, but you're a people manager now, and you'll need those expertise at times, but it's so much greater than that. It's being a politician, it's managing up, it's managing down, and it's finding, some sort of work-life balance also. So we are.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, you think about in our industry, what we deal with. I have to manage people making $12 to $13 an hour and people that are billionaires. So I have to know how to talk to people that aren't from the United States. I have to know how to talk to people that aren't from the same economic class as I was growing up. I have to talk to people from different races. I have to have a relationship with people that are multimillionaires to billionaires. So you have to be able to manage all of that. And everybody's different. As much as you lived in Mexico, so you understand how that culture is different. And if you're not willing to learn that culture, you're going to fail. You're going to fail as a manager. Absolutely.
No doubt. All right. So I really have appreciated the time. We're coming up against it. I wanted to do a couple maybe lightning round type of questions for you. So we'll start.
That we dropped the Christmas tree on Lanny Watkins.
We did.
Oh, well, why don't you now? Tell us.
Well, how about you start it? You were there. This is just.
So wait, let me just time out. I'll start this story. I was out of town. I come back in town.
Hold on. You were not out of town. You left the shop, and 30 minutes later, this all went down.
That's what happened. Yeah, I came back, and there is a cedar tree cut in our office trailer in construction with nailed into the floor of this construction trailer.
It
And
wasn't
there's
a
beer
nice
cans
trailer, okay?
hanging up, and dip cans. It was a cedar tree from outside that was just, I was like, oh, Christmas tree.
So Kasey left for Christmas break. It was Christmas time, and we felt like we needed a Christmas tree in our trailer. And we went out back with the chainsaw and cut down this cedar. I'm trying to find a picture of it. And like Kasey said, we didn't put any water down. We bolted it to the floor of the trailer.
Just nailed it to the floor of the trailer.
And we hung beer cans and dip cans on it, Copenhagen cans.
Not embarrassing at all.
So it was after the New Year, or close to, I would assume.
So this was, if I recall, this would have been March almost, or February, because Lanny Watkins told Seth and I that our pin was illegal on 14, and he was talking about preparing to go set the pins for the Masters. So yes, embarrassingly enough, the tree might have still been up late February. But anyway.
It was Ben, Lanny Watkins, and somebody that was some British Open winner.
David Graham. David Graham. Also another Masters winner, I think. Yeah.
So they're all in the construction trailer, and we're eating lunch. And
in the trailer.
We're just kind of taking in the conversation because there's a lot of obviously great golf in the room and stuff. So we're just letting the conversation flow. And all of a sudden, here comes this, 8-foot Christmas tree, just shabam, right on Lanny Watkins.
Fell into Lanny Watkins. Our Christmas tree fell on Lanny Watkins. It had to go sometime, Chad.
It had to go. That's not how we envisioned it, but that's how we go. All right. So quickly, dream foursome, Tony, dead or alive?
Oh boy. Okay. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, is myself included? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're just gonna watch them golf.
Well,
yes.
No,
who would you want to? No, you're part of the foursome. You're part of the foursome. Yes.
Okay. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, myself, and oh boy, I'm in the spot. I would say I'd like to play with Arnold Palmer.
Okay.
Mine, you're going to think this is cheesy and stupid. I would have the most fun playing with you, Tony, and Steve. Yep.
I love it. I don't have a problem with that.
That is a lot of fun. Steve being my dad.
Steve being your dad. Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And what are the best 3 golf courses you've played, Tony?
Sandhills, Medina.
We played one hole.
Are we talking conditioned, or does it not? Does it just?
No. That's entirely up to you. It could be the experience, condition, history.
I mean, okay, then I would say Sandhills, Medina, and Bandon. All of Bandon. I'm not picking one. And one of the nicest conditioned golf courses. There's a tie for them. Wild Horse.
I know what the other one is.
In Lake Nona.
Me too. Lake Nona. We played that together. That was as good as it gets.
It was
absolutely.
It was really good. He did it. Brandon does a great job.
It is a great job.
Yeah,
great job.
Poa Triv approaches and greens. I mean, just
that was pretty good.
Absolutely.
And tees. Mine would be.
So what about you?
Mine's Cypress Point, Sand Hills, and Pete Dye Golf Club in northern West Virginia.
Okay. I'm jealous of you that places like San Francisco Golf Club and Bandon and Valley Neal, they don't even make your list.
Yeah, San Francisco Golf Club is up there. It's a pretty good place. I carried my bag out there, which made me happy.
All right, and how about 2 courses for each of you that you haven't played but would really like to?
Man, I was just telling Kasey I want to make a trip to Tobacco Road.
I've played Tobacco Road. It's awesome, and you're close to Pinehurst then. you know. That's a good trip too.
I would love to do that, and I would also, I would say Cypress Point, Augusta, but sure.
Sure. Yeah.
But, that's everybody's answer. Cypress Point would for sure be.
Okay. Mine's Terra Edie, and
I like to play Cabot too.
I'd like to play Terra Edie and Pine Valley.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Well, I hope you get your chances. And back to the Medina thing. They're doing some big work coming up too.
Yeah.
Got the Ogilvy, Mike Conking, Ashley Mead. Those guys got it. That's cool.
Those guys are going to be legends in this industry. You know it. Those guys are good.
Absolutely. They're sharp.
And they got the President's Cup.
Yeah,
got the President's
absolutely.
Cup.
No, it's very cool. Very cool. And that's a great club, as everybody knows. Phenomenal place if you ever get a chance to go out there. So
We were talking
I think that
and I was just going to say, we were talking about, we got to play all these really nice clubs, but when me and Kasey just made the drive into Medina, just
It was great.
how different it felt. Just the history
that
there.
putting green in Clubhouse is just stunning. It's stunning.
It's just a huge property. It just feels major championship
Absolutely.
golf in there.
Right.
It does. It does.
And
It's the venue for
shout
sure.
out to Curtis for doing all he could to.
Yeah.
We got rained out, but I mean,
Curtis
we were playing the John Deere Classic in Moline. We rented a car, which is a Nissan Versa. It's the shittiest car ever made.
It was pretty shitty.
Ever. Drove all the way from Moline, Illinois, up to the Chicagoland area to play Medina. And where else were we gonna play?
I don't even remember.
Rained out.
Rained out. First hole. First hole. Thank you, Curtis Tyrrell. He's not there anymore. He's in the.
So.
And then a couple months later, I got to play all 18 of them.
And you went all. You went all.
So, guys, I really do appreciate Kasey, Tony, Jeff, who's no longer with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your support. I've really enjoyed this, and I really enjoy our relationships, guys. So,
We're proud of you. We love you.
Yep.